Hello and welcome to the Damage Per podcast. I'm your host, Jesse Vartel. This week we talk to Lucas Lowman. Lucas is a longtime internet friend of mine, probably for, just like Wolf, probably known Lucas for like over a decade. And he is a big, enthusiastic nerd, and I love him for it. I think what I really love about Lucas the most is that he definitely has a passion for the things he cares about and loves to talk about them. And once you get him going, he just loves to tell you what's on his mind. It's really endearing and his a great quality of his. So this week we talked about Silent Hill Revelations, which is a very bad movie. I had written up a piece about the first movie, which is, I still think, quite good and quite atmospheric, and I highly recommend you watch if you've not seen it. And then there's Silent Hill Revelations, which is just a piece of garbage, but it was fun to watch it and then talk about it with Lucas, because there are things to like about it, but it's mostly a bad movie. So enjoy the conversation. All right, Lucas, I want you to tell me, how do you feel about Silent Hill as a brand?
Oh yeah. Okay. So Silent Hill as like an IP.
Intellectual property.
Yeah. I really love it. No, it's one of my favorites. I found it kind of after it was one of those things when, like, growing up, it was like, no, you're not getting that game. That game looks way too intense. Like, you're not getting that. But it was always this thing that was like a myth. It was like, I really want to get to Silent Hill at some point. And so I was able to get to it kind of in high school when I kind of had my own money and was able to kind of like, I'm going to go get Silent Hill. And I kind of fell in love with it, man. I definitely, at first playing it and stuff, like the first ones I played weren't the OGs. So it was like Homecoming, Downpour. Yeah. And I really like, so from what I had heard, right, it was like, they're not that great, and I really, really enjoyed them. And then going back and playing like the HD collection, like it didn't feel so out of place or anything like that. It really felt like, yeah, these are more Silent Hill games. And I'm really down about, yeah. They tweak with the formula and stuff enough, like it confuses me sometimes, because I'm like, I thought it was a town. I thought you could get like I thought you have to go to a town, and then like Silent Hill 4, the room is like, nah, you can just be in an apartment building away from everything.
That's right. Yeah, it doesn't even have to be a town. You can just be your own mind. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then they have the thing. Go on.
No, I was gonna say I agree with you. I think Homecoming is totally fine. I don't know why people hate that game, because I played that on my PSP. I thought that game was great.
Yeah.
And like, I think the old games are awesome, but I think like nostalgia really plays into those, especially those.
Oh,
first
they're
janky,
games. Dude. Like, I think that's why everybody's really excited for the remake. Like Silent Hill 2 being remade, like people are really excited, and it doesn't. And in the same way that people were excited when Resident Evil was being remade, like if you go back and play Resident Evil, like the tank controls, man, are difficult. Like we figured it out. Like going back and playing old video games, there's level like, man, this was a new art form, and we were figuring out like where to put all the controls on a controller. Yeah. And each developer was like, this, like maybe this, and it was. It's like it's really interesting going, and like it's just hard. It's kind of like it doesn't feel natural. Like wait, what's my inventory and what's like equipping? And then like hitting, even all that, it just feels way more stifling than it does feel like you're in a survival horror game. Do you know what I mean? Like it feels like the jank is what's killing me, not so much.
Not my actual skill. It just feels like the game is working against me. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But I do like that, yeah. So I do think like when like something that's like those Homecoming game, like Downpour, they do a better job of like the control scheme is more modernized. Do you know what I mean? And so it doesn't, you can kind of get your like work your way around. Like the camera in those games are still, leave something to be desired. I think they still need to figure out how to like make it that I don't feel like I'm like stuck in a corner with my camera kind of thing. But no, I mean I really love the thing that I love about Silent Hill. I think which most people love about Silent Hill is just the vibe. It's like a fucking mood that you can put on, and it's really great. I think there's like aspects of like the creature design is pretty next level, man. And so like again, I always compare it to Resident Evil because they have kind of these similar, like they're just so, when you go into a Silent Hill or you go into a Resident Evil, you know what you kind of are getting. It's going to be these like assortment of creatures, and they all have some kind of weird backstory of why the creature is that way. Do you know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
never like monsters for monsters' sake, which I think a lot of genre people really love. Of like we actually have bios for for each monster and like lore reasons of why they are the way that they are. And I think that's just like it's really cool. And that's the thing. It's like there's so much to then kind of chew on. Like I was talking to Cece, my wife, earlier today about it. Like it's one of those things where like everything that we're watching in the movie, there is some Wikipedia article about it. Like like somebody has written about the nurses. Somebody's written, you know what I mean? Like there's
Yeah.
something, and that's what I think is really cool about Silent Hill Revelations that I enjoy is that like it feels more of like a theme park ride movie, like something
Hmm.
you would catch if you were in line for Silent Hill the ride. Like the actors are so overacting, like there doesn't seem to be much of a plot as it is to like set dress what I'm actually going to experience on the ride. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and that's where like Silent Hill the first movie does it's just a better film. Like it has a more complete. There is like a through line of stuff going on. Things happen. The pacing is good. Do you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
it's still a B movie. Do you know what I mean? Like I don't think it's like incredible cinema or anything like that. I think it's a good time though. We're like Silent Hill Revelations. It your mileage may vary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, mileage definitely varies for the sequel, but I think you're right. I mean, for me, Silent Hill is definitely more of like a vibe and an aesthetic rather than for me, like Resident Evil is more the gameplay, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, no, that's the thing because when people think about Resident Evil, right? I think there's this thing of like you think about the characters that you inhabit way more than I think of Silent Hill. Like Silent Hill, like James Sunderland, like the like Cheryl Mason, like
Yeah.
they're cool people, but like there's the level of inhabiting an action hero that you kind of do in Resident Evil that
Hmm.
then they let you play through that and via the horror aspects. Do you know what I mean? As well as guns blazing stuff that Resident Evil has gotten more and more into.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, that started with 4, but I feel like Silent Hill's always been way more cerebral and way more about like
Yeah.
madness, and especially I feel
Yeah.
like I guess Silent Hill 2 in particular is definitely about like trauma and like
Yeah,
what
guilt. Yeah.
it's wild. And I mean, I'm very very excited for the remake. I mean, for me, like the Dead Space remake, the Resident Evil 4 remake, like redoing these games and me spending another $60 or $70 on these games again because I'm an idiot, but like it's worth it because they're great games. Like
Yeah.
I think, I think especially when I got Resident Evil 4, the remake, you go and you play those games, you're like, yeah, game design was just used to be way different, and in a lot of ways I love game design of that era a lot more
Oh
because it's
yes, no, 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 and that's the thing. It's like
smart,
you have to be able to look at it within the time. Like that's the thing. It's like I think it would be ridiculous to be like they didn't figure it out until the mid 2000s. Like like no, like they were doing good shit. It's just that like it is the times changed, and it is wild to take somebody who kind of grew up on this modern control scheme and be like figure out tank controls. Like one is for walking and one is, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like I was playing even like the old James Bond like video games, like the like Nightfire, like the Pierce Brosnan era stuff.
Uh-huh.
Like you're like I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, I remember playing that. And one like the right stick was looking around and left stick is move. And it's like, nope. Like left stick is moving up and down.
Yeah.
Left to right. And you're like, why did we split this up between two sticks? What is this? But no,
Yeah,
it's one of those
I
things where
think what was it on like N64, you had to use like the C controls to like look up
yes,
and down and stuff.
yes,
And, like
yes.
what, like what?
Why? What is this?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
so
was
it's just one of those things. And then like it's still funny because even if you then like to us of people who play video games just a lot, we can orient ourselves in virtual worlds pretty easily. But if you then like even with these modern like streamlined controls, if you hand a controller to somebody who's never played a video game, they don't know how to orient themselves, right?
yeah, they're
Like
like, what
the
is
two
this?
sticks is really throws people off, man. And it does. There is an aspect where I totally it's like, didn't we figure it out with like the joystick, right? You have one thing, like
Yeah.
I move around. No, but but back to Silent Hill. Like I do. I'm in total agreement with you. Like it's way more about the psychology of the characters and then like the darkness that we all have inside of ourselves kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And it like emanates out.
Uh,
And like, yeah, no, I think there's way more helplessness in Silent Hill. Like, yeah, like any game, like you can find the guns and stuff, but I think any game that's kind of like you just got pipes and sticks,
yeah.
like, and these things are grotesque as fuck. Like,
Yeah.
like,
It's true. No, it's true. It's like in Silent Hill, you spend more time running away from things than you do
yes,
fighting. Because you
and
do
instead of
only
level
have
up,
like I think there's only like towards the end you get like a katana or something like
yeah,
that.
yeah,
You
yeah,
do
right, and
damage,
like
but
so
that's
much
really
of it,
it.
even when you have the weapons, you're like, there's nothing like I don't want to fight that thing with this. Like, I'm not gonna do shit. No, and yeah, so I really I appreciate just like as we said before, like the aesthetic. It's way more of a mood.
Mhm.
I think like I'm excited for all of these new kind of games and stuff coming out because I do think a lot of people have been pretty upset with Konami for a while, kind of like sitting on one of their great IPs and like not doing like there's probably some pachinko machine somewhere
Yeah.
that they made. But no, I'm pretty happy. There seems to be kind of like a resurgence. Like there's that one, the Bloober Team one. Like I love Bloober Team. I love all the other stuff that they've done. So I'm really excited to see them kind of like the stuff they've done have been like walking simulator stuff, and I'm excited to see them kind of be given kind of this like budget of like, yo, like go move through an open world. You know what I mean? Like that's going to be pretty cool.
Mhm.
And then I'm also pretty excited for that. What is it, Silent Hill F? That's like which is like the in Japan and has like the fungus
Uh-huh.
looking thing. Like I have no idea what that is, but I'm very very excited. I love this kind of idea of like Silent Hill goes global. Like it's no longer
Yeah.
in Pennsylvania or Maine or wherever it was. I think it's Maine. But yeah, like I think I'm really excited. I think there's like there is a want. It's a great IP. You can do so much with it because of what we're talking about. Because it's like the mind, and like the mind is infinite. You can do anything there. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's like one of the great things about Evil Within. I don't know if you ever played that one.
Yeah, I
But
love
it's
both. I
like
love both those games.
the horror matrix. Yeah. But I love it. The concept is literally it's like, hey, what if we just every horror thing existed in one space? And it's like, yeah, let's do that.
I
And
mean,
that's pretty much
that
what
and that
that's
was
what Silent Hill is.
what's his face
Shinji.
who did Resident Evil, right?
Yeah, Shinji Mikami. Yeah.
Yeah, Shinji
Uh,
Mikami.
Yeah, and it really like yeah. So I think that's what like Silent Hill did. Like they were on that, which is like you know what? If you set it within the mind, we can kind of make anything. There doesn't need to be some crazy through line of the monsters all have to look like X or Y or Z. Do you know what I mean? But at
Right.
the same time, with that being said, like the aesthetic that is like the switch to like the other world. Do you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
that is a unique aesthetic, man, that they have down pat of like rust factor like everything it's so unique in this kind of like grit grunge factory rundown but also insane asylums but also like you know what I mean like it's a really good unique aspect of Silent Hill that I think like as I think it's like you could just have Silent Hill be the foggy town. Do you know what I mean? And
Right.
that, and with Ash, and that's enough, man. Like that's the thing. It's like you could have like creatures coming in from the fog and stuff, but then this aspect of like, then the world shifts around you and everything's way worse. Like it was already bad. Like that's what we're talking about when we were watching Revelations earlier today. It's like it's already bad. Like you get to Silent Hill and Ash is falling. Like nobody lives here,
Yeah.
and then you're like, guess what? It gets worse. The
Yeah.
walls fall away.
It turns into a Nine Inch Nails music video,
Yes,
and these
yes.
nurses come out, and they don't
And
have
that is
faces.
yes, and that is honestly like the nurse scene in Silent Hill Revelations is one of the stronger scenes. It's a full scene. Like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there was a through line. Somebody thought about it. And like
Yeah.
you're gonna cart them in, and it's this great like the nurses are just a great creature. Like they're basically red light, green light, right? Like
They
don't
are
make
red light,
noise.
green light. They are
Yeah.
red light, green light monsters for sure.
They're great. And I love just the aspect of like how they show it in that movie is like once they've killed him and he's dead and not making any sound or movement anymore, they just stop again. And I love that of like they don't actually care about killing you or not. It's really about the sound.
Yeah. So yeah, so Silent Hill Revelations is an interesting movie. So I I recently watched or rewatched for like the 10th time or something like that. The first Silent Hill movie. I wrote about it. Came out in 2006. I still think that movie's awesome.
Yes.
The guy who made it, Christoph Gans, was like he did like a he got the job because he did like a 40-minute like video he made for Konami, and he like had it translated into Japanese, and he was like, this is why I should do this movie, because I think this game is dope. And then they were like, okay, he's got the job, let's let him make the movie.
Yeah.
And then he got Roger Avery to do the script, who would play the game and write the script at the same time. So like the first movie, like it is definitely a B movie for sure. It is campy, the dialogue is bad. But
not as bad as Revelations.
Not yeah, it gets worse. But that is the difference between that movie and then Revelations, is that the first one had a vibe. It had an aesthetic. It had it was like it's like 2 hours and 10 minutes, 2 hours 5 minutes or something. But it's the pacing is so good that it doesn't feel like that. Unlike Revelations, which you feel like is like way too long, and it's like it's 90 minutes.
Yes. That's not good. I should never feel like your 90-minute movie is like, are we past the 2-hour mark here? You know what I mean? It's like, oh no, it's only 1:10. Like this is not good.
And what I liked about the first movie is that he was like, okay, so there's the story of Silent Hill is like this dude's like or this dude's looking for his daughter, and in the game, that is, this dude's looking for his daughter, and then turns out like his daughter is this like this I don't even know what you'd call like a psychic offshoot of this other child that was burned in this town because they thought she was a witch, and so she became like this like demon that like trapped the town in this like fog, and in the game it's snow, and it's like, you know, they're trapped in there with all these monsters, and there's these people who are like, there's like this cult that you find that's trying to bring her back to life or something, whatever it is. Gets a little convoluted. But what they did with the movie what they did with the movie is they're like, okay, well, we're not going to directly adapt that. We're going to make it so that it's the mother, and the mother loses the kid, and like the dad, who's the Sean Bean character, is sort of like, what's that?
It kind of takes a back seat.
Oh yeah, for sure. They like so the Sean Bean character and like the cop character, they were added in as like after like the studio watched it, and they were like, well, we need like men in this movie.
We need more men.
Yeah, and like so they like added Sean, so they added Sean Bean and forget his name, but he's the guy who plays the cop character, and so like their scenes feel really out of touch with the rest of the movie. But essentially, like, that first movie adapts the game in its own way, does a very good job. It's a total vibe of a movie, really unsettling. There's a lot of great
Tim Coates is the actor, by the way.
Tim, there you go, yeah. Very, very startling looking man.
Yeah, you know, he's a great character actor.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. They made the movie their own thing, and oh boy, what was I gonna say?
Sorry.
No, it's fine. They made the movie their own thing.
Creating the plot. Yeah. Adapting it, homage. Like, it was, so that's how I look at it. It's like, it was like kind of a remix, right? It's like a greatest hits,
right?
A kind of homage of Silent Hill stuff, right? Yes. And they make it work. Like, it's not just like, doesn't feel like a Mad Lib of Silent Hill stuff, and like, oh yeah, we had to have a pyramid head. You know what I mean? Like, no, it feels like they did a good job, like making it all work, right? And I think that's like, for me, that those are kind of the best adaptations, man. Like, if you make a 1-to-1 adaptation, like there's room for that. I love a 1-to-1 adaptation. Watchmen is great. I love Watchmen, and even that like Twig stuff. But like, there is something to like, I love the ones where it's like there has been this body of work, and we can kind of adapt the entire body of work if we make this kind of cool, like kind of sizzle reel. Do you know what I mean? It's like kind of just like all the great stuff that you love from it, right? And I think it, like, again, like they do a good job of like, I love Radha Mitchell. She's one of my favorite like B movie actresses. Like I like The Crazies. She's so good in that. Like, she does a really good job.
Wasn't she in that like crazy big alligator movie too?
Yes, yeah. There were a couple. Are we talking Rogue? Or are we talking?
Yeah, that was Rogue, right? She was in that.
Hold on, I'm double check. Yes, Rogue. Yeah.
Okay, it was Rogue. Sam Worthington's in that. I like that.
Yeah. that's is that the one? There's also the one. Is that the one? There's the one that was like marketed like he is the greatest man killer in the world, and you're thinking it's like a serial killer movie, and then the twist is it's
It's
an alligator. It's a crocodile in Africa that's killed all these people, and you're like, oh, okay.
I don't think it was that one. I don't
Okay,
think
okay,
it
okay,
was.
okay.
But it was a good creature feature for sure. I like that one.
Yeah,
Um anyway,
yeah, back.
Rhoda Mitchell's great.
Yeah, yeah,
uh
yeah.
Sean
No,
Bean's
she's a
great,
big
but
part of what I think
he's
that what
overused.
she makes that movie work. That's my point. Is like I think she's on screen a lot, and like you vibe with her. That's the thing. It's like her kind of B movie acting is great. It hits all of the notes. Her overacting, she overacts, but it's not to the point where you're like, okay, calm down. You know what I mean? Like it's all she's right where she needs to be. That's the thing. I think there's like that's something Revelations doesn't necessarily have. Like people seem to be aware of the movie they were in. Like Malcolm McDowell in Revelations knows the movie he's in. Do you know what I mean? And we have two main characters. One of them is Jon Snow,
Yeah.
right? And it's not great. It
It's I think it's pre Game of Thrones too.
is. I think it is.
It's like a
Yeah.
year. It's like a year before Game of Thrones. I feel like.
It is the thing. I love Kit Harington. I think when he
Me
does
too.
comedy, he kind of shines. I think he needs to be given more comedic opportunities.
He's just sitting on
But
his
I
money. He
think too
doesn't care.
often he's given roles that are like, hey, you've got kind of a stone face. Just play into that. And it's like, like nah, let him do stuff. Actually, one of my favorite roles of his is in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. He's like the bad guy, but he kind of like he's kind of like in Jupiter Ascending. Who's the actor who's the villain in that?
Channing
It's gonna
Tatum. No, it's not Channing.
no, he's the good guy. It's literally Danish girl. That's killing me. That like Eddie Redmayne,
Oh,
very similar performance, and just they're like chewing the scenery. They're so evil. You know what I mean? And they're angry, and they're the most angry you've ever seen somebody be. But like, yeah, you wouldn't know he's capable of that if you watched Revelations. The
yeah.
breadth of emotion he's given is.
I honestly
Why,
don't know how he got work after that movie. To be honest, like
dude? It's not great.
he's just sort of like
Set dressing. Like he becomes set dressing.
yeah, he becomes set dressing, and it's funny because there's like at one point he's like I wrote it down in my notes. He says, "I am a child of the order." He like yells it at
Yes.
one point. It's so bad.
Why? He's like, she's like, why do you have to keep this? Like, why won't you talk to me? What are you hiding? Anything? It's like, then it's like, it comes up, right? It boils up. He's like, I am the child, I'm a child of the order. And it's like, where are we? Right? Are we back in like medieval times? Like you're not speaking. And then like, it's like, that's where I can actually see the producer of Game of Thrones be like, all right, we got to take this guy back in time. You know what I mean? To some fantasy land. Because that's where these lines will work.
And it's like he didn't do any job trying to cover his accent either. So
No.
just get
There's that's also the like that movie does that where like the main character is so overwhelmed by the information she's given all throughout all the movie, and then there's the thing of like, I've got the seal of Metatron, and you're like, whoa, we know what that is, huh? Okay. And then there's like a part where she's being carried by the transformed Malcolm McDowell, who's like in his true Seal of Metatron form. And the way she beats him is just like done.
Reaches in and pulls it out. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And that is the stuff that leads me where it's like, this is more music video than it is about like somebody conquering things, about a story taking place. Like, if you can just vanquish the big bad by reaching into his chest and pulling out the thing, it's just like, isn't that just, as you said before, we're just getting in Nine Inch Nails music video territory. Like, this is just like, images and sounds. Like, yeah. And that's the thing, it's like, it was made during that whole 3D, like, you know, Renaissance. I don't want to say it was a Renaissance.
Like, yeah, it really stuck around no matter what we tried to do, though.
Oh, God. I mean, that was the thing I hated about this new Avatar coming out. Is like, now I have to be into 3D movies again, I guess. What the fuck is this, right? It's like James Cameron comes around every decade, got to get everybody into 3D movies for like 3 or 5 years before it goes back because nobody fucking. You got to figure it out. Nobody likes to wear the glasses, okay? You figure out a way to get us to just like, hey, come in and we made it 3D, right? It's a 3DS. You can adjust the slider and you can see it.
Yeah, as someone who wears glasses, putting glasses over my glasses, not great. Also,
That's not fun.
3D glasses just like they ruin the contrast of what you're
Yes.
watching. Like the color,
Yes.
it's darker.
I often end up just playing with it and be like, ooh, this I can make it green if I tilt it sideways over here, and I can make it purple through this lens if I do it like that. It's not, I just get distracted. It's not fun. But no, it's very clearly made during that era because there's so many moments like where it's like 3D coming at you. And it's not that exciting. I don't think it's like I don't when they made these 3D movies, like there's one that I think does it pretty well, Fright Night, which is like the remake of the
Yeah,
80s movie. It
yeah.
has some 3D moments, but for the most part, it's just like actually really good effects, right? And
Mm.
so many 3D movies, and Revelations is one of them, where it's like the effects don't look good, guys, and and it coming out at me at the screen is only highlighting that the effects are not that great.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There's just even well, anyways, let me so Silent Hill comes out in 2006. It's mixed reviews from critics, and
Yeah,
people seem to like it. Like general audience seems to like it.
yeah,
It does okay, I guess, box office wise. And then they're like, okay, let's make the next one. And then Christoph Gans was like, I want to do it this way. I think what he wanted to do is he wanted to do more of like the Silent Hill 2 thing, but the
yeah,
studio wanted to continue the story of the first movie. And so he ended up getting into like a fight with them about that. And
yeah.
then he ended up working on an Animusha movie, which unfortunately never got
I
made.
know.
Like it
It would be
never
pretty
got
cool
made, which
though.
would have been great. Like I wish I could see Christoph Gans's version
Yeah,
uh of sorcery in Japan during the feudal samurai days.
it'd
But
be pretty good, man. It'd be
yeah,
pretty great.
yeah. But he was busy doing that, and then Roger Avery, who did the script for the first movie, was in prison for manslaughter charges. So yeah, so the
He's having his own Silent Hill story go on.
yeah, he was yeah, basically he became his own Silent Hill character. And so nobody was attached to it. So then they got MJ Bassett to do Silent Hill Revelations, and I forget who the screenwriter is on this one too. Can you if you can pull
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
Got multi screens.
It's MJ. Yeah, yeah, it's MJ Bassett. Written and
Like,
directed.
oh, she wrote it too. Okay, so
Mhm.
she did like a bunch of cool movies before this, which is like a shame because I feel like after this, I'm not sure MJ Bassett's career really went anywhere. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it right now. Like, funnily enough, we were talking about Rogue. There is that Megan Fox movie called Rogue, and MJ
Uh,
Bassett directed that. Um, and then she is directing the Red Sonja movie. Or is it Sonja or is it Sonia?
so I think I
uh,
just saw you. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, but that's coming out supposedly 2024. And like I don't know if it's been, but like that seems like isn't it, like the one thing that I will give Revelations that it has a visual language that's really kind of cool. So like when
Sure.
it goes into the overworld and stuff, like the creature designs and the production design is still really solid. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's one of those things where like I'm excited like I would be it's written by somebody else, so that seems to be good. The Red Sonja movie. So like that's the thing, like the writing in Revelations is really bad. Like
It's
the dialogue is bad to the
and that
point where it's not even like and that's something like I was watching it with my wife and I had a time to be like, it's kind of schlock. Like it's not you can't really root for it. Like the redeeming qualities are few and far between when it comes to the dialogue. That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. Like there is levels of like there's a part where she's like I can't tell you and then his response to that is oh come on you can tell me and it's like bro like what how is that a back and forth.
Yeah, I feel like the movie is like somebody pressing X on the controller to make dialogue
Yes.
go. Like that's what it feels like. Which the first movie dialogue's not so great, but like there's something I don't know genuine about it that's not so genuine here. Like it
Yeah.
just feels really lazy. And
Yes, and that's the thing. I think that's what it is. It's like
yeah.
there's a difference between B movie dialogue, right? Which is like there was actually thought in how to like get it to be like so genre, all this lore, right? All this stuff. Like B movie dialogue is thought behind it, but it's kind of dumb, right? Like it's this kind of ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's over the top, right? The way people talk are not how normal people talk. It's kind of comic booky, right? Where
Mhm.
like this, it's like I don't think you thought about it that much, right? Like there it was just like, yeah, what do they say? Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I can't tell you, but come on, you can tell me. It's like, what? That's not gonna move the needle in drama at all. Uh, and
So
yeah, go on.
no, I was gonna say, so for those of you who are not aware of what Silent Hill Revelations is, it's more of a, well, it's a sequel to the first film, but it's more of a straight adaptation of the third game. So what they do is
Yes, yeah,
they end up changing the names of the girl to Heather and Sean Bean's character to Mason, which is the character's names in the first game.
yes.
And they keep that storyline where she was like the psychic offshoot of this demon child thing. And she goes to Philadelphia to start in a new school because apparently she jumps around all the time because her dad, like, people find out and her dad kills people when they find out or something. There's like a scene where like Sean Bean kills some dude because like he knows or something.
He wasn't a thief.
So what's her name who plays Heather? I forget.
Yeah, I'll find it real quick.
Because I was like, it's not Michelle Williams because she looks like
It,
Michelle Williams, but
it's
not.
not Michelle Williams. Oh God, no, it's Adelaide Clemens.
Yeah, so Adelaide Clemens and Kit Harington play 17-year-old children in high
And
school.
there's that great high school scene when she gives like the rebel monologue of
Yeah,
like, don't talk
oh,
to me.
I want to get to know any of you because I'm just gonna move again.
And Cece, my wife, she was watching it. She was like, uh, she goes after that whole. She has this whole monologue, and then the teacher has a line that kind of is like a clap back to her. She goes, "Very impressive," and just
Very
like,
impressive, yeah.
yeah, it's so
And then
good.
and then and then Kit Harington's like, "How can I follow that up?"
It's one of the like better lines. It's like probably the best line in the movie. It's like, yeah, like that was kind of ridiculous. How are we supposed to follow that crazy monologue?
So essentially, with Revelations, she goes. They're in Philadelphia. I think it's Philadelphia, and
Yeah,
she
it's
started
like nondescript city. Like that's how
yeah,
I always. It's like it could be Detroit, could be the inner city of St. Louis. Like
yeah.
like
We don't know.
yeah,
But it looked like Philly to me, but I'm not sure. But anyway, they end up looking at going like this. Basically, what happens is that this cult that is really really into the demon child is like trying to find her, and so this private investigator finds her, who's been hired by Carrie Ann Moss, this
yeah.
character who's like this new like cult leader of the town, to like find out where she is, to like get her back to Silent Hill to do this ritual. And for some reason, Carrie Ann Moss also turns into like this razor blade monster thing, which
Yes,
I'm really confused about that part.
that's her true form. Don't you get it?
Yeah, but like but like she like at the beginning like shows up in the elevator and tries to
Yes.
kill the private
And then
investigator
like,
and
but wait
Heather,
a
and I'm
minute.
like,
I thought the rule of the movie was you guys were kind of trapped and couldn't like get
yeah,
out of the Silent Hill.
yeah, like also why are you trying to kill her? I thought you wanted her alive. Like I don't know what, it was very confusing. But then I don't really care for the razor head Carrie Ann Moss. There's like a Metal Gear Solid 4 scene at the end where she's like fist fighting with Pyramid Head,
Yes,
which
dude.
is like
That is one of my favorite. That's like I do like the scene where like the first movie does this great job of it instilling great dread and fear with Pyramid Head, and you're like, God, he's scary, he's terrifying. I would hate to be around this guy. And the second movie does the classic like we'll do Terminator 2, and like the bad guy that was scared of in the first movie is actually your friend in the second one. And it's like it doesn't really work with a guy like who looks like that. You know what I mean? And like I would love to root for Pyramid Head and stuff, but like he works so much better as like a force to run away from and to be scared of rather than like buddy old pal Pyramid Head coming through to save the day.
he's gonna fight Carrie Moss and just yeah knock her like they're all, I don't know, yeah, at the end with the after
And it's very yeah, it is Metal Gear Solid 4, and like the choreography is very much Pyramid Head moving very slowly. just taking big swings as Carrie Ann Moss's character moves really fast around him in circles, basically, and then will like stab him at times. And then all it takes is one, like he's like, couldn't I missed her with that one, missed her with that one, got her with this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
he just went full Elden Ring on her. He just
yes,
he was
yes,
playing Demon Souls, and
yes.
that's how I finished the last boss. The so Heather like ends up getting dragged back to Silent Hill, and we're back in Silent Hill again, back at the set piece from the first movie. Um, and for whatever reason, Kit Harington, his character is called
Talking about like his character name.
yeah, what's this? I didn't even write characters' name down in my notes. I wrote actors' names in my notes and not their characters' names.
Yeah, Vincent Smith. He's
Yeah,
Vincent
Vincent
Smith.
Smith. So in the game, Vincent Smith is like older and like he tries to coerce Heather into going to Silent Hill, and he's not a high school student. So it's just
Yeah, yeah, very, very different
very
interpretation.
different. But like so like you think of like all the crazy stuff in the movie, right? Like the whatever the Megatron thing, whatever what's
Seal
it
of
called?
Metatron. The
Megatron.
seal of Metatron.
Yeah. So like that amulet stuff, like that's all in the game. Like Carrie Ann Moss's characters in the game. But
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I watched a playthrough of the game because I was like, okay, am I just like thinking that like maybe the game is actually like awful and like
No.
the way that they
So,
translated it
yeah,
like
yeah,
so directly, like that's because it's all awful and I like
yeah, yeah.
misremembered
No,
three.
yeah,
And
exactly.
I'm
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
three and I'm like, no, this is really
No,
fine
it's
and
good.
good and
Yeah.
very like video gamey and over the top, but like it works.
Oh, it
And
works. Yeah, yeah.
it's fun. It's funny to me that like even though they did a more faithful adaptation of the source material, it's the worst entry.
And also, I think part of it comes from like it. There's like there it has this kind of like before I was like looked up who wrote it. I was like it feels like the Japanese script got translated, like do you know what I mean? Like there wasn't even a writer. It was like yeah whatever they got is fine, because it does feel like somebody is what you're saying of like when you're just clicking A to go through. It does have like video game dialogue. Do you know what I mean? And that like people are just repeating the same exposition dumps of like there's this great evil, like you know what I mean, like over and over and over. And so it has something. It's like so there is kind of that again, like I can see people liking that, right? Like it's such a video game movie to the point that the dialogue is video game dialogue, right?
Right.
But like we don't live in that era anymore, where like the dialogue in video games now is pretty freaking good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Regardless if it's Japanese made or not. You know what I mean? Like there's just scripts have gotten better, and so
Yeah.
I don't think you can kind of like rest on that laurel and be like, we're just gonna do the video game script, like I don't think it's gonna work. But I do think I'd like to your point, like I there's so many moments in the movie where they milk kind of the adaptation part of like so like I don't know why she couldn't just put on a vest when she's getting dressed. But the
Oh
movie
my God. That it's like, oh, look what I got you. And I was like, what?
it's the iconic vest that you've seen her in, right? It's like why did it have to be that? Okay. Um, and it kind of like has, and then it's the same thing with like Robbie the Rabbit. They really love to show you that like, hey, we did not forget about Robbie the Rabbit.
That's
He
right.
has no real bearing to anything that happens here,
We know
but he's
you
in the movie.
Yeah, we know you nerds like video games, so we made sure to make feel like you're included in this.
Yeah, yes. It's such like the lowest common denominator. That's the thing. It's like then that's what it feels like. It feels very much like we got this one. What worked about Silent Hill 1? These things. Let's just do that again. Package it. Let's go. Right. And
Yeah.
they did that. Like
Well, I mean, that's what they had to do because I mean, if you think about like 2006, the first one comes out, it goes into the development right after that movie, and then it isn't until 2011 that this movie comes out. So
yeah,
like,
yeah.
they really like there's the whatever they shoved out at the end of it was like this is what we have a contract to get this out and this is what you're getting. And it's the most like
I saw a free screening. It was like near New York Comic Con around that time, and I saw like it was like a free screening that they were hosting in the city, and it was a packed screening. Like people love Silent Hill, and especially if you give away things for free, you're gonna get a packed crowd. But the crowd like was laughing at that movie. Like the thing is like it's a ridiculous movie, and you're not. And the thing it's like there are aspects to B movies where you're kind of laughing with it, right? Where it's kind of winking at you. It's got its tongue in cheek, and you're like, come on, like this is ridiculous. Laugh with with me, right? This
Mhm.
doesn't feel like it is aware. It feels really self-serious. It feels like a CW show. Do you know what I mean? Kind of in this
Right.
level of like, I don't think you guys should be taking this seriously. This is ridiculous. What's going on
And
for
like,
you?
yeah, and like Heather sucks. Like Heather sucks in the movie. Like she's so unlikable.
A terrible protagonist. And
Yeah,
she has these vibe shifts where like there's this moment in the very beginning where like she's celebrating her birthday with her father. Sean Bean is great. He's loving like, I love you, Dad. You're so great. And then he like says something like something is said, and it's like, I have to go to school. I don't
yeah,
even like you
yeah.
anymore. It's
Fuck
like,
yeah.
whoa,
Fucking
whoa,
go to
whoa.
school. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a 28 year old girl going to school, high school right now. Okay.
And like I don't know, there's aspects of like they go they go to the high school only to just skip over that whole thing. Like there is no reason why I needed to see her go to that school, only just to be like, but we got to introduce Kid Harington into the story somehow. So you know what I mean? Like the total like it doesn't, but that could have been really cool. Like there's so much there with like schools. And the thing is, they have that one scene where it's like it's kind of feels like a haunted house. It's like in each room is a different theme, and like over here we see the girls making fun. But then one of the rooms that she goes to investigate is just a bunch of girls looking at the door, and I don't understand. I was like, "Ooh, creepy!" Like, what was that? What was the point of what I just watched? Right?
Yeah, and that's the for me, like one of the bigger bummers of the Revelations is that the first movie has a lot of impressive set pieces.
Yes.
Like there's that one scene where she's in the Rhoda Mitchell's in the bathroom and she finds like the janitor and he's all like she has to reach in and pull the key out of his mouth like
Yeah.
a video like in the video game. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
pulls the key out of the dude's mouth and like he's all strung up with like wires and like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
all gross and then like she like goes to whatever walk out and then the siren goes off and then it turns into Nine Inch Nails video, whatever. And then he like comes to life, and it's like a really great set piece. There's
Yeah.
another. I'm trying to think. I mean, the nurse is of course Pyramid. Pyramid Head when he rips the skin off the lady at the
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
movie, like that is still so disturbing. The end with the barbed wire is still so
Yeah.
disturbing. That movie really went there. And
Yeah.
this one, this one, like the big baddie, like the mannequin spider doll, did not care for that one. Like not as cool as the set
That was
piece.
one of the things I had to look up. I was like, was this was this in a game? Like I don't remember
Is this
Mannequin
like a boss?
Monster.
Is this a boss? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's like, no, made for the movie. And it's one of those things where it's like, guys, there's a lot of cool creatures that you could just like mine from the body of work that you have here. And it's like that's a classic Hollywood writer thing of like, I'm going to adapt an IP. And I could do a bunch of research and just like do something like create like adapt a creature that the fans know and love. But you
Yep.
know what I would do that I think it's going to be even better? I'm going to make my own villain for Superman to fight. And it's like, no, don't
Yeah,
do that.
that's what they did with The Witcher too.
It's not great, man. No, I'm very against it. And I think a lot of people feel it. It's like it's a slap in the face. Like, come on, like writers have to kind of pave the road for you. Like, you don't need to do this.
Right, yeah.
Like you just be flying from the get. Um, no, yeah, I do think so. Like, yeah, she's not a good protagonist for us to follow. As to that's like to my point with Rhoda Mitchell is like she's good. Like you are following her plight throughout the movie. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And with Heather, you don't. You're like, I don't
I
care
hope she
about you.
dies. Yeah, like I hope you die. Like I don't.
And
You're
then also the thing that like again like any survival horror fan will tell you this. If you bring a gun into the situation, it really defeats the horror. Like if you give me a gun, it becomes a different kind of game, right?
yeah.
And like especially with the whole thing of like limited ammo, right? All that. But like she gets a gun and just starts blasting monsters away
Yeah,
throughout the movie.
it's so ridiculous. She's just like, okay. You're like, what?
And
Who
you're
is
like,
this?
I also have a hard time believing that the things that are creatures from your mind that defy reality can be brought down with a bullet. Like it seems like they're gonna be. Look at these things; they look undead. It doesn't look like that's gonna do much.
Yeah, it
And
doesn't
it's
look like they
bothersome
die. They die. They don't die in normal ways. That's
Yeah.
it.
And then also the thing when you get to the point with as we talked about earlier, the mannequin monster. So she's in like the back of the thing. She finds the woman who's like naked for no reason, right? It's like nudity, right?
Yeah,
And so it's
it's
like
ridiculous.
yeah. And so then she's like, help me, right? And she gets like the porcelain mannequin overtakes her. My only question is, who is that woman? Where did
Yeah.
she come from? Is she like a person from her school? Is she a citizen of Silent Hill? Like, there's
Nope.
just some random lady, and they don't explain. Like, thing, it's like they don't. Man, they don't do a good job, and that's the thing. It's like I really do like the mall scene where like everything gets like really dark and weird all of a sudden. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
they're eating meat, not
Oh
cake.
yeah. Like
And
at the,
everybody's like,
like the birthday, they're like eating like
yes,
raw
yeah,
meat.
and that's the thing. It's like these are the aspects where it's like it feels more like a music video because it's just like, what if at the mall people instead of they eating cake at the birthday party, they just start eating raw meat, right? And it's like, yeah, okay. And it feels like one of those things like, yeah, that is horrific, but I don't really understand, right? Like how that's really fitting into everything that's going. And it's like it's a cool little moment, it's a cool little scene, but then like what's the thing? It's like it's so predictable. Silent Hill Revelations doesn't do much to like she's gonna get scared, she's gonna run into a room, and she's gonna run out of the room, and it's gonna be changed again, right? Like it's
Yeah.
not the same. She's gonna be really confused, right? And it's the thing where it's like it doesn't treat it, and that's part of the gap we're talking about. There's this time gap between the first and the second, and so
Mhm.
they felt like there's a lot of the movie where it's just telling you what Silent Hill is, and if you're coming to Silent Hill Revelations, there's a pretty good chance that you know what the fuck's going on a little bit.
Yeah.
And they really do like just treat you like you're watching a genre movie for the first time. And so
Mhm.
there is this kind of like her reactions to things are like, come on, dude. Like it's like if you've watched any of these movies, you're kind of like you're waiting for her to get on your level. And that shouldn't be you shouldn't feel that. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And so like yeah, I do think that like they could have like we talked about the iconic costume. I do think again another thing that Revelations does, like we were talking, is like the cheese is just turned up. Like the cheesy moments in it where like again like Silent Hill, the first movie, is it's not for lack of cheese, man. There's
Yeah.
plenty of cheese to be found in
You
that
can
movie.
do cheese well. You
Yes,
can.
exactly. But this one has like Velveeta coming out of the speakers. You know what I mean? Like it's like no and that's again back to the thing we were talking about, like the Japanese kind of like it feels like the dialogue from the video game almost. We're like, all right,
Mhm.
like this is just bare minimum. And then like I do think of like I love Sean Bean. I think he does a great job in here as best as he can, being tied to a statue for most of the movie. I do like this concept of that he was this late addition to the Silent Hill universe, and then they just never figured out what to do with him. Like,
Yeah, and it's so apparently like he was really confused about like the name changes and all that stuff. Like he wasn't like obviously it makes sense like within the game, but like they like brought him on and he was like, I don't
why
really
do
know.
we need to do that? Yeah,
Yeah, why do we have to do that? But like also like his research for the first film is that he looked at the box art for Silent Hill and was like, okay, I get it. And then
I
that
get
was
it.
all he needed.
Hey, man, when you're that good,
Yeah. When you're a total legend like Sean Bean, I mean. Oh
and when
wait,
you're only
Sean Bean and Kit Harington in the same movie. I just put that together. Like oh my
they,
god. We got Game of Thrones reunion before there was one. Oh
yeah,
man.
that's actually really great. I didn't think about that
Yeah,
either.
I didn't think of that either. I feel dumb
But I
now.
think it's also the level of like, hey, Sean, we're bringing you onto the movie. You've got 5 minutes of screen time, and he's like, all right, my level of research is looking at the looking at the box set of like, because that's the thing, like, you have nothing to do, and that's the thing. It's like I would watch in a heartbeat a Silent Hill movie. It's like it's all Sean Bean all the time. He's in every scene, and it's like,
Yeah.
yes, give me that movie. I don't care if he dies at the end like everything else. Just give me Sean Bean all the time. And that's the thing. It's like I do think a big failure of this movie is like the people that we have to say, hang out with are just not charming. They do
Yeah.
not.
We should have been hanging out with Malcolm McDowell the whole movie.
Yes, and then again, also far better film of like
Yeah.
the father who's being like told by his daughter to like go to the asylum. How does that power dynamic work, right? And he's great. Like I do love his scene when you get to Malcolm McDowell. It becomes a kind of a different movie because
Yeah,
it's like he kind of knows what he's in, and it's so fun.
he injects life like into it. Like all of a sudden it's like it's a way different movie and you're like
It's
this guy knows that I wanted to watch that movie and no
yeah.
one else got it. But
Yes. And it's really frustrating because you're like, yes, this is great. Malcolm McDowell is going to be in the movie now. And it's like, nope. Like,
no,
you just got that one scene.
that one scene and he gets his piece of metal ripped out and that's it.
Yes. And then the other thing I do love was when they go to when she's in the high school and she's like, "What do you want to know?" Right? And then the girls are like, "You get all your clothes from Goodwill, but if you take a good look at that classroom, she looks exact. She's dressed like everybody else. There's
Yeah, she
nothing
looks
about her.
totally normal. She looks
Yeah,
totally fine.
no,
I
nothing out of place. It's like ridiculous.
also,
And
there's
then
nothing wrong with thrift shopping either.
yes, exactly. And then also the great thing is with that private investigator, they play it up a little too much of like, I think this guy's trying to help you, dude. Like Sharon, wait, right? Like the running after, and it's like, but if you're running after and you're calling the name and you sound nice, I think he's going to be an ally in the
Yeah.
fight against the evil later on, right? And it turns out, yup, like that's exactly what's happening, right? Like if you are at all versed in media, Silent Hill Revelations will not be surprising to you.
Yeah.
Like same thing with like Kit Harington being like talking about his family history, and he's like, yeah, I grew up in some crazy little small town. It's like, oh, I wonder what small town that
What
might
kind of
be.
small crazy town that might be?
Yeah, I am watching Silent Hill, right? Like, and then he does like, and then he's like, my mom, like, she's a real hard ass, like super crazy. And it's like, I bet she's the big bad.
I bet you
Yeah,
she's the lady with the really bad wig.
yeah. And it's again like Carrie Ann, it's one of those things where like Carrie Ann Moss being in it is really surprising because she is only in it at the very end, only to then turn into the creature we've seen.
Yeah, I don't know how she got that gig. Like, I it's so weird to me, like how she ended up in that movie. Like, they must have paid her like a lot to be in the on screen for like 10 minutes.
There's that, and I also can see it being like we wrote like, hey, you're gonna be the villain, Carrie. I got you a villain role in the next Silent Hill movie. It's like fantastic, right? And like the villain role in this shitty sequel is actually like 5 minutes of screen time. Like,
Yeah, because
but I
she
got you starring lead opposite Adelaide
so
Clemens.
yeah, so you have Malcolm McDowell, you have Kit Harington, you have Sean Bean, you have Carrie Ann Moss, all these people that should make for a good
A
movie.
great genre movie, right? A great little campy, little piece, and it's not. It does
And
not
it's
come together in the end.
awful. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's like the creature design's great, set design's great, but it does not do enough.
I
To
think
hide.
the outside of the Malcolm McDowell part, I think the best part of the movie is the opening with the amusement park, with
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
carousel. Like, I think that stuff's
Yeah.
really cool and and well done, and yeah, and when they go back, it's
And
pretty
that's one of
cool.
the things is so we're watching it, and then Cece quotes. There's this community line from Donald Glover when it's the paintball episode, and it's when he gets like surrounded, and he says the line. He goes, "I had a dream it would end like this," and that is literally what Revelations is. Is he gets to the climax of the movie, and it is that. It is
Yeah,
that
you're
she
like, how
had
did we get here? Oh, okay.
it. And
Yeah.
the thing that it's the weakest climax. We're like the whole thing is she like finally is facing the dark self of her, right? The dark double. And then the way that they overcome this crazy darkness is a hug that we watch as if it's the most intense thing you've ever seen. Like there's a part where like they're hugging and the carousel goes around and you like see them hugging as it's coming around. You're like, it's not that exciting, man. It's just them hugging. And it's like not them. It's a woman hugging another version of herself. This
Yeah.
is really hokey and not working in the way that you think it
It's like the emo version of herself. She got like
Yeah.
black mascara on
Black,
and
every it is literally the emo version. It's literally like the goth version. It's not the demonic version. It's not like Dark Corrupted. It looks something. It has that like cheapness to it of like you just put white like she could be a mime. Okay, like, like it's there's not enough there. Um, and it's weak, and that's the thing. It's like so much of that movie is like we had this insane conflict, and then the way we solved that conflict is super easy. This was so like that thing that we said was really hard to beat. Actually, not that big of a deal.
you know what? It's all good, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
I'm really, I there was like that era of media where there was like creepy young girls like
yeah,
like manipulating the world around me. You had like Samara from The Ring.
yeah.
You had what's the girl from Fear?
From Fear, Alma.
Alma,
Yeah.
yeah, Alma from
Yeah.
Fear. You had the
And
Red
then you
Queen.
had like,
There's the Red Queen, and it was an AI program, but you had the
yeah,
Red
no,
Queen.
In the Resident Evil, man, that was
Yeah.
because that was one like as we speak about adaptations that like I think a lot of people don't like the Resident Evil, they like it against like because I think of nostalgia. But when that came out, man, there was like Paul, what are you doing? Like
Yeah.
you could have just adapted. There's a really cool story in the first Resident Evil game, right? And the thing he chose to do was like, I'm gonna make my wife the main character,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. Hey guys, check out
And
my
her
hot
name
wife for 8
it's just
movies.
weird. It's like, and she could be Jill Valentine. She could be one of the female characters that you know and love from the games. She's a new character.
She's a brand new character, and
And then
these
the thing
movies.
of like, and again, like they're like, and the big bad here is, Matrix is really big right now. Red Queen, right?
We have an AI program controlling this house, and
And there's
that's
still like, again, speaking of Resident Evil, like the opening, as you talk about openings, it's one of the great openings in a video game movie with like the elevator scene and it
oh
just
yeah.
everything going haywire. It's really, really good. But then, like, you think it's like that wasn't a remix. That was not a like an homage to. And that's the thing is like I think that's where like Revelations kind of goes in this thing of like they're trying to adapt, but then you make these choices like, but we're gonna change this arbitrarily. And you're like, but why? And so I think you like with Silent Hill, the first one, you got to either go full remix, right? I'm doing a greatest hits. It's going to be not, you can't really point to anything being the thing because all of it is that thing. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? But if you go specific of like, I'm going to adapt the first Resident Evil or I'm going to adapt Silent Hill 3, but then I'm going to make all of these changes to that adaptation, then it's like, what's the fucking point, right?
Yeah,
Uh, and I
exactly.
think, yeah, and I feel like in like with the ending to Revelations also is kind of whack, and then like they defeat everything, this whole movie, and it reminds me of like the way Interstellar ends, where like the whole fucking movie I've been watching this fucking dude complain about getting reuniting with the person in which they're going after, only for the final fucking scene of the movie to be like, you know what? Let's just part here, huh? And it's like,
Yeah.
all right, I guess. And like the thing of like Sean Bean being like, I'm gonna stay in Silent Hill. Whack decision, dude.
Yeah,
Ridiculous. It
makes no sense. It's so
makes
dumb.
no sense. It makes no sense in regards to like they literally say like we've defeated the source of evil in Silent Hill. Like nothing bad can happen. Like the ash is gone. And then but then Sean Bean has the line of like, people will still find the way here. This place attracts lost souls. And then there's like the ending, which has like two different like Easter eggs for like fans of like it's the truck driver from Silent Hill
Yeah.
Origins, and then you see the prison transport from Downpour.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of like I don't even know if it's setting them up as much as it being like you played the games, right? Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
then Christoph Gans is in the back going, I can't wait to make another one.
And so the thing is that he is, I think, making another one.
He is.
Yeah,
There was a 2023 release. I think it's going to be 2024. It's
gotcha.
supposed to be about Silent Hill 2. I'm
Yeah, we
excited.
have
I mean, it's been 13 years since the last Silent Hill movie.
yes,
And it's,
I'm ready for another one.
yeah, what they're trying to do is time it with the release of the Silent Hill 2 remake.
Got
So
it.
like
Okay, that
when
makes a lot of
that
sense.
comes out, they want to put
Gotta
the
have that corporate synergy.
they got that media tie-in going, and I wish them all luck. I think having Gans back on it is a good
I
sign.
think is the move. I think
Yeah,
it's one of the things. I mean, he has passion for it. I think it's like
yeah,
those are the best. Like it's the same thing with like Rogue One. Rogue One's one of my favorite Star Wars movies, and it's because the guy who directed it was like a huge Star Wars fan, and you can see it tells like it kind of bleeds through everything,
yeah,
and that's kind of like after a certain point. That's kind of the only people I want to be making these plays. Like you can add fresh takes, cool, but like there's something really beautiful and awesome about these people that are like, I live and breathe the material, and like there's
yeah.
just this passion behind it. Like the story reminded me of the how the director of Battle Los Angeles got the job for that movie. I love that movie, but
Uh,
how he got it was he just had this like passion for the material, and it was this thing of like I've got this vision for a war movie, but it's not played like it's a war movie, but it's a sci-fi alien invasion movie, right? And he like just had the passion for it, and like it's the stories that like oh man, like that's what you want. You want somebody to just passionate that they got the job that way. You know what I mean?
right.
And that they just showcased that they and his thing was like he showed Konami like this a sizzle reel, right? That's basically
Mhm.
what he showed them. And then that's as we were going back before, like that's kind of what Silent Hill is. It's this awesome sizzle reel of Silent Hill shit, and they
Yeah.
do a really good job of never getting you get bored. And that's not something like Revelations bores you.
Yes.
It is a boring fucking movie for a movie that deals with realities shifting and changing around you. Like it shouldn't be this fucking boring.
Hmm.
And then there are these cop characters that they introduce that you think are going to be part of the story. That's like, oh, is it going to be like a detective subplot,
Like,
kind
no,
of thing? It's like,
no,
no.
no. Forget about it. Yeah, forget about it. It's not real. Don't worry about it. Um,
But yeah, I mean, I still enjoy watching it. It's still one that I think I would like be like, if you like Silent Hill, like throw it on. It's the weaker one. It's, you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like it shows you of like, I think it's funny to me because I think like it feels like they should have Silent Hill Revelations should have been the first one, right? The first they made Silent Hill Revelations, and they kind of figured out how to make a Silent Hill movie, and then they made Silent Hill with Christopher Gans. But this is like this like backwards, where it's like you did it the first time, you
And then you
fucked it
just,
up.
yeah, you
Yeah,
just
yeah,
made
yeah.
it worse. Yeah.
Bungled this, yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah. I think we'll stop Silent Hill. I think we spent enough time
yeah.
inside Address Unknown of Silent Hill. Uh, I this was a fun experience. I liked talking about this with you because it's very few people I think who would be uh as interested to talk about Silent Hill movies as like like if I put out a uh, APB about I need someone to talk about Silent Hill movies, uh, it would be you and like one other person
Yeah,
probably. So I'm really
yeah,
glad that we could do this.
for
Uh,
sure, man. I'm super down to talk. Like, I could talk Silent Hill more. Like, there's that whole PT thing we didn't even touch
we
on,
didn't
which is like,
talk about PT. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
PT was great. I wish.
It's amazing.
Uh, yeah,
Like again, that's its own other thing. That's
yeah.
we could spend
We,
we can wax
maybe
poetically
maybe
on that
when
for a
maybe
while.
when Silent Hill 2 comes out, we could do a video game thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But do you so Lucas, do you want to plug anything? Do you want to where can people find you?
Yeah. Yeah, you can follow me on my Instagram. That's at RUKM, just 4 letters. And then yeah, I host these movie nights here in Brooklyn. That's how you can find them on my Instagram and stuff.
What are
And then
you
I've
allowed
got
to say where it is and
yeah,
what
yeah,
part?
it's at Blinky's Bar here in Brooklyn. It's 609 Grand Street.
There you go.
And it's usually like uh one of the Wednesdays in every month. So yeah. And then we did Taken, we did Saw 4 for spooky season. We'll figure out what we're doing for Thanksgiving that season. And then yeah, and then I've got a comic book coming out next year. And it's called Absolved.
Mhm.
It's kind of a battle royale hitman kind of story in which like all archetypes from every movie, video game, comic book all coexist in one world and all have to kill each other.
Yeah,
So
man. That sounds
yeah,
rad.
yeah, yeah. No, I'm very, very excited about that. It's been like a working on that for 3 years, so pretty pumped for that to
That's
get
great.
finally get out to the market. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
then when it comes out, we'll get you talking again about it. And
For sure, for sure.
yeah, we could talk all about it.
We
And
literally, there is a whole sequence in which this man is attacked by nurses that are modeled after the nurses from Silent Hill. Yeah.
it all leads back.
Yeah,
All comes back to that
yeah,
town in
yeah.
Silent Hill in Virginia or wherever it is.
It's in Maine, I think, but I think the movie might have moved it. But I know that
Moved
the
it for you.
Silent Hill in the games is set in Maine. Yeah,
Ah,
yeah.
good old. Wait, where was Alan Wake? That was
Pacific Northwest.
yeah, I think that was Pacific Northwest. Alan Wake. Now there's something we could do talk about too. Some
I'm
point.
super down. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's one. Did you stop recording?
No, it's still
Are
going.
you
It's still
still recording?
we're
Great.
recording. Yeah.
No, I was gonna say with the Alan Wake stuff, that one's a game where I find that they're still using like the full motion video of like the actor, like an actor shot on a camera, but he's in it.
a real
Yeah,
person plays out the yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it's one of the few things I'm like, this is still cheesy to me, but you're like pulling it off. Like I don't know how you do this. So it's the
Yeah.
best version of that. That's it in my opinion. Like it's like every time I see it, like it takes me like Red Alert Command and Conquer days where it's like
Yeah.
really over the top acting and stuff. And they still is like the whole thing of like Mr. Scratch is like his dark version, and so he like is super overacting all the time,
Yeah.
and like laughing at the camera and like has his eye way too close and stuff like that. I'm really excited for the second one. I love Remedy. Like anything
Yeah,
they do,
Remedy, they're a great
I
development
have yet to play Control. Control was
team.
my most anticipated game of the year. It came out, and then I got it day one, and then I've been just basically sitting on it. Of like I don't, I cherish that experience too much to like lose it all. You know, I can't do it.
That
Then
control's
then it's
great.
over.
Control's
No,
great. Yeah,
I've
you should.
only heard great things, and Alan Wake now connects. There's a whole universe they've made, the Remedy
Yep.
verse, right? Like it's freaking great, and I'm excited for their I think they're making the Max Payne like remake, which is gonna like if any game needs a remake, it's Max Payne. So
Absolutely.
I'm really, really pumped.
Another game that broke some barriers when it first came out of like this is like we're gonna make bullet time as a thing. Remember
Dude,
when video games
it's
used to make up things that were
dude,
interesting
yeah,
when they came
actual
out? They're like,
features. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I kind of had that experience when I was playing Dead Space the remake again. And it was like I miss like when video games were like we have to think of like a thing that makes our game unique.
Yeah,
And
dude,
like
Dead Space is awesome. And Dead Space
yeah,
whole thing is like, you know how you shoot the head and all the
yeah, the
zombie games?
limbs off. You got yeah, and like now video games come out and they're just sort of like really good versions of things we've already played.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
it is funny like Max Payne. Like I love that game when it came out, but it was just like bullet time was like the coolest
Dude,
thing.
it's one of those things that like not enough games use bullet time, if I can say so. Like, like
And like
there's
you know,
this amazing
and then like
action.
speaking of Alma, like Fear ended up using that like sort of
Yes, dude.
for
And
the
then
first
there's a
person.
new game that recently came out for people who love Fear called Trepang 2, I believe is what it's called. But it is very much in the same vein of Fear. If you love like slow motion bullet time, but with like crazy covert soldiers moving really fast, like that, it's a game that just came out. So like
Mhm.
highly recommend it. No, Fear like should be made into a movie. Like if there's ever
Yeah.
something of like, we have this SWAT team called Fear. First encounter assault recon, which doesn't make any sense because assault and recon are
Two
two
different
very
things.
different
Yeah.
things.
And we have this
uh,
creepy girl that's like ruining the fabric of reality. So
it's great, man. No, I'm a huge fear guy. I even love Fear 3, which is like Fear
I
1 and
like
2 are like horror shooters, and then Fear 3 becomes like the aliens. It's like the sequel that's all action. The horror is just like like in a corner somewhere. Like yeah, I still have a lot of fun.
is it Fear 3 where like you get into like a mech suit? Or,
It might be, but that might
I
also be Project Origin. Fear 3 is the one where you can play as Paxton Fettel. So the villain from the first game, he has like
right.
telekinetic powers and stuff. And so
Yes.
one guy's point man, and the other guy is Paxton Fettel.
Got it. I feel like there was like in 3 it was just like over the top action. I feel like there was like a mech unit like
It might have been. There
sequence,
might have
but
been.
I could be making that up. But I just remember it being like really I like 2 a lot. I think Fear 2 is
Two
probably
is wild.
yeah.
Because like two goes to some crazy fucking places in regards to like what happens to the main character and all
Uh
that stuff. But Fear 1 I like is like because the thing is like Fear 2 is kind of like if you liked Fear, we double down on all the things that Fear is. And so like for some people, there's levels of like I liked Fear, but I didn't love it. And so Fear 2 kind of like throws them off. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
But I love it. I'm mostly about anything that's like we double down.
Yeah.
We've turned this thing up to 11, and that's part of why Revelations is like. There's part of it's like, man, you really did just turn the cheese knob all
All
the
the
way
way
up.
up. But like
Yeah,
totally missed the mark. Like just
yeah,
like threw
yeah.
it in the opposite direction. Yeah.
Yes. No, yeah. Alan Wake though. No, I love Alan Wake. I'm super excited for the second one. I for like that's a game that with the melding of like the mind of like your mind is the horror.
You are the
Uh,
book, yeah, and
yeah.
pick up batteries. I haven't played the remake of that. There was a remake they did.
Is it a remake or is it a remaster?
Good question. There is a new Alan Wake that is a better version of the first Alan Wake.
Gotcha.
But I
Because
can't.
I played and I played the classic one, and then I played there's like that one that was like on Xbox Live Arcade. It's like
Yes,
American Nightmare.
yes, American Nightmare.
Yeah. And so the thing that yeah, with that game and that's that world and stuff, that I really like. I didn't get it. Like for a long time, I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like the hook of the whole thing is like it's him. He's like manifesting these
Yeah.
things. It was
He's the
not
writer. Yeah.
yeah. It was not. And so the whole ending of him being like, it's not a lake, it's an ocean. Well, like it hit me really hard because it was like it all kind of clicked in that moment of like, oh fuck, he
Yeah.
knows. And then in like he's also making it way worse for himself, but it's also to trap the dark. Like it's way like another thing. It was like a really cool game where like I didn't get it until it wanted me to get it. Like you know what
Sure.
I mean? Or like
Yeah.
it hooked me exactly in the moment where it's like this is our hook. uh, no, it's really cool, and that was the thing is like I don't play many games where I'm on the back foot for so long, where
Mhm.
I'm like, what is going on? Like,
Right.
why is it that you like? Because there's people that are like the reality didn't make sense. Like some people are like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's like, how do you mean you don't know what I'm talking about, man?
Yeah.
Like you saw the world shit. And it's very Silent Hill though. Like the Silent Hill did that, but I for some reason never clicked of like you're kind of in a Silent Hill type of game. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Of
Right.
like what you're experiencing is not what the objective reality of things is right now. You know what I mean? But then it also is, you know, like it's
Right.
like it's great. It's a I'm really excited for the second one. It looks awesome. Um,
Is
yeah,
that out? Is that out next month? Am I
yeah, or like this month. Like
like is it
it's
like
soon.
this month? Yeah, I saw
It's
like
soon.
pre-orders and stuff going up or out.
And
Is it
there's
yet?
big controversy. Yeah, October 27th. Uh, Big controversy because it's not being made available physically. It's like a digital only game, but it has the
Whoa.
back. Yeah, yeah.
I
It's
mean, yeah, that's that. I mean, I haven't bought a physical game.
Yeah, no, dude, that's the thing. I buy physical games. Like there's a moment like I build up. I've got my physical game collection here, and then I'll build up like a big ton of like I played all these games, and I take them over to GameStop to get 80, 90, $120 from it to buy two more games from
Yeah.
GameStop. But no, like I like having the thing, but I'm also not opposed to like if there's a deal online on
Mhm.
PlayStation Store or something, I'm gonna download the game. Do you know what I mean? It's not like
Yeah.
an aversion to, especially like I'll have physical game, and then if I get it, like they're offering it for free on Xbox this month or something, like I'll get the digital title so I can like sell the physical title. Do you know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
But I do think it's one of those things of like I would love to have the option. But it's funny, like it's having to look at it though, like it's a digital only title, but it's like a triple A. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
not at all an indie title that was made.
That
Yeah,
is pretty weird, but I mean I hope it's a great I hope it's a great game. My
I think it will
expectations
be. I think it's Remedy being Remedy. Like they're not huge. They're Remedy,
are
and I
hmm
think they're aware of the cost that product like of putting a game into getting printed and all that, and they can see
hmm
that. A lot of people are like you. It's like I can't remember the last time I actually went out and
yeah.
bought or ordered something from Amazon that was a physical game when I don't have to wait for it to get shipped anymore. I can just download it to my console. Do you
And
know what I
freeload
mean?
it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's like it's one of those things of like the Xbox console the console refreshes this cycle are supposedly going digital only as kind of a testing of the waters of like when we go next gen,
Right.
can we leave the disc behind? And
Yeah.
I'm so dreading that day.
It'll definitely be interesting. I don't yeah, I don't know how I feel about it, but it's yeah, games are
I just like having my collection and being able to go play my collection, right? Like
sure.
that's just an
Yeah.
annoying thing of like, oh man, now I have to figure out a way to get a disc drive for all of these things. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's so annoying. But it's definitely one of like gonna have to make it happen at some point, right? Like it's gonna be weird to think of like, am I gonna have to go out and buy a Blu-ray player? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
right? Yeah, because
I've
you
got
can't
all
just
these
pop it in
movies.
you can't pop it into your Xbox or your
Exactly.
PlayStation.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's weird. It's
Yeah.
so weird.
And it's like it feels like now it's like I'm back in PlayStation 1 era kind of thing of like I was like I have all these DVDs, but I can't use my game consoles to play them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then the PS2 came out. It's like, oh, this is fantastic. This is awesome.
It was a good time. It was a good
It
time
really
to
was.
play video
I
games.
many a sleepover was like, we can just watch, Fast and Furious on the PlayStation. It's like, oh shit.
And then play Midnight Club on it as well.
Oh yeah, dude. That's if any game, that's another one. Me and my friends talk about Midnight Club of like, why wouldn't they make a new one?
I don't know. That I feel like
games aren't
that's
big anymore. Like, no, they still are huge, right? Like, like
you could do like a Forza Horizon or like a Burnout Paradise with the Midnight Club somewhere.
be incredible, incredible.
Do it in Tokyo.
Also,
You
pretty
could
great. I was talking about this Burnout Paradise. Speaking of Burnout Paradise, that game came out and it was literally like, what else do you want us to do with Burnout? This is it. Like, this is the
yeah.
magnum opus of Burnout. It really felt
They
that way.
made the most perfect game of
Yeah. And how
all
do
the
you
racing
iterate on it?
games.
You know what I mean? Like, how do you make a bet? Like, that's it. Burnout Paradise, they did it. Like,
Yeah.
it's so good. It holds up so well. People like
Yep.
they'll talk about that game. They don't update it. There's no seasons. Like, no battle pass.
No battle pass for Burnout Paradise.
No, man. And people still talk about that fucking game because it's really good. And like, it's like I do think that like we're getting kind of a return to that of like we are like devs have been talking about like are moving away from microtransactions and stuff because it's hurting them more now.
Yeah.
And so I do think we're returning to this like we're just gonna give you a playground, you pay us X amount, and you get this playground. You know what I mean? And there is no more bells and whistles.
Yeah.
Especially for like I would say like the mid-sized people. Like I think for a long time we're gonna see these AAA people owned by Xbox or PlayStation kind of milk us for as much as we can. But it does seem like these mid-sized devs are like we are decidedly moving away from like battle pass to like because it's I think consumers have gotten rightfully suspicious. Like when we see that now, we're like, oh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody's like, oh man, a battle pass?
Yeah.
Like, oh, fantastic. I was thinking I didn't know if I wanted to get this game, but because you guys have seasons and stuff, and
because
I
you
know
want me
you're
to
gonna
pay,
be
yeah, you want me to pay more money to access the content. Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah.
No, yeah. So I do feel it's one of those things where consumers have kind of been voting with their wallets. It seems to a degree of like, no, just give me a full experience and I'll pay for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like God of War, like the new Spider-Man that's coming out. People love those games, and
Yeah.
they're kind of full experiences, man. There's nothing of like. Can you imagine if Spider-Man came out though, and like as you can, because they did it with Avengers. So like, so it comes out, and they're like, you love Spider-Man costumes. We've gated them all.
Yeah. You pay us $40. You
Yeah.
get this.
You can get the first 5, but you still have to play the game for the next month to get. You know what I mean? Like it's so ridiculous. Like
you can get the Overwatch Diva skin for your.
Yeah, the Call of Duty recently. Like I'm a huge Spawn guy, so Spawn is the season. Is the season skin for the new Battle Pass? And I'm like, like you might get me to get it because I love Spawn. I'd love to get the Spawn skin. No, you're wrong. Okay, if you get the Battle Pass for Spawn, you do not get Spawn. You get Al Simmons, which I don't know if you know this, is like the normal version of Spawn. It's like his human version. So he just looks like a commando, like any of the other guys in Call of Duty.
He's a boring ass dude. Great.
You want Spawn? You have to get to level 100 of the Battle Pass. So you better be playing this fucking game. Yeah, dude.
Obnoxious.
It's fucking ridiculous. And I already paid them. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't actually gotten it. But as it is, like, I already had paid you for the Spawn skin. But if you don't play enough this month, you don't get it. It's like, fuck that. So fucked. Yeah, no, got it.
Yeah.
On
that note about our rants on microtransactions, which I have many. We all have many. Lucas, this has been awesome. It was great to talk to you.
Hope to do it again.
Yeah, we'll do it again. We'll do something soon. And
awesome.
Thanks to the 5 to 7 of you who listen to this. And we'll see you next time. All right.
Yep.
There you go. That is the wrap up of A Very Bad Movie. It was so great talking to Lucas. Once again, you can find all the things I've written about on Substack. You can just search damage per second on Substack or in Google. Damage per second, Jesse Bartel. It'll come right up. And thank you for listening to my podcast, which is Damage Per Podcast. And I hope you enjoy what I have coming next week, which I'm really excited to share as well. So thanks again and have a good day.